In a world that is just constantly screaming for our attention, finding a single moment of calm can feel, well, it can feel like a superpower. So in this explainer, we've boiled down some of the best tips from all kinds of guided practices to give you a really straightforward guide to meditation. Simple, practical tools you can use to find that calm right here and right now.
Okay, so to really get what meditation offers, we first need to get honest about the problem. And it's a problem we all face, every single day. Our own minds.
You know the feeling, right? You're lying in bed, you're exhausted, you just want to sleep, but your brain decides it's the perfect time to run a marathon of every worry, every plan, every random thought you've ever had. Or maybe you're trying to focus on a book and you suddenly realize you've just read the same page 3 times without absorbing a single word. Yeah, that internal chatter, it's a totally universal human experience.
And get this, it isn't just a feeling. Research has actually shown that our minds are wandering completely off task for nearly half of our waking hours. 47%. Just think about that. That is a huge chunk of our lives spent lost in thought, instead of actually being present for what's happening right in front of us.
But here is the absolute key, and I really want you to hear this. This is not a personal failure. It's not a flaw in your system. It's actually a feature. It's a deep-seated survival instinct. I mean, our ancestors needed to constantly scan their environment for threats, to avoid becoming a tiger's lunch. That mental scanning is a feature that's been passed down for generations. The only problem is, in our modern world, that feature is often running on overdrive when we really don't need it to be.
So, what do we do about it? Well, that brings us to the single biggest misconception about meditation. And honestly, it's the one thing that causes most people to give up before they even get started.
You've heard this before, haven't you? The moment I say, don't think of a pink elephant, what immediately pops into your head? A pink elephant, of course. Trying to use willpower to force your thoughts to stop is exactly like that. It just doesn't work. In fact, the more you fight a thought, the stronger it becomes. It's a total paradox.
And this right here, this highlights the crucial shift in perspective we need to make. The normal approach is to try and fight our thoughts, to control them, which just creates more stress and more tension. The real path to peace isn't through more control, it's through its opposite. It's through allowing, releasing, and just observing our thoughts without getting tangled up in them.
Now, this next idea might sound a little wild at first, but stick with me because it's incredibly freeing. What if thoughts are just events in the mind? Kind of like clouds passing in the sky or birds chirping outside your window. They just appear. They're not yours. And if they're not yours, then they are none of your business. You don't have to engage with them. You can just let them pass on by.
So think of it this way. For the few minutes you're meditating, you can fire the part of you that feels like it has to manage everything. The planner, the problem solver, the worrier, that part of you is fired. You're on holiday from the hard job of thinking. And what a relief that is. Your new job is simply to be, to allow, to do absolutely nothing.
Okay, so if we're not supposed to be controlling our thoughts, what do we actually do? This is where the simple, practical technique of using an anchor comes in. An anchor is just a gentle point of focus in the present moment. Think of it like a home base for your attention. It's not about forcing your mind to stay there. It's just a friendly, familiar place you can gently return to again and again whenever you notice you've drifted off into thought. A really powerful and grounding anchor is your own body. You can do a simple body scan, just bringing a gentle, curious awareness to each part. Just notice the sensations in your toes, then your feet, moving up to your ankles, and so on. As you're doing this, you're not trying to change anything at all. You're just noticing with a sense of kindness.
The body scan is fantastic, but there's an even more accessible anchor, one that's literally with you from the moment you're born until the moment you die, and that's your breath. And the practice itself could not be simpler. Just notice the physical feeling of the breath coming into your body and the feeling of the breath leaving your body. That's it. You don't need to control it or change it in any way. Just let it be natural. And when you realize your mind has wandered, and trust me, it will, you just gently, without any judgment, guide your attention right back to the breath. That's the entire practice. That's the whole game right there.
Okay, so you might be thinking, how does all this simple stuff, allowing thoughts, noticing the breath, actually lead to a real, tangible sense of peace? Well, let's connect the dots. To tie all of this together, let's use a beautiful metaphor. I want you to imagine, for a moment, that your mind is a magical garden. It has the potential for incredible beauty, peace, and clarity. So in this garden, you have flowers. These are states like peace and joy and kindness and clarity. These are the qualities we all want to cultivate, right?
And of course, you also have weeds, things like worry, agitation, fear, and restlessness. These are the states that cause us so much stress.
Now, here is the absolute magic of this garden. You don't get rid of the weeds by furiously yanking them out. In the mind, that's the same as fighting your thoughts, and we already know that doesn't work. It probably just spreads the seeds. Instead, you simply stop watering them. And what does it mean to water the weeds? It means giving them your attention, your energy, your focus. By not feeding them, they just naturally wither and fade away, all on their own.
And the result? Well, as the weeds fade back, the flowers finally have the space and the light to grow. What's left is a mind that feels spacious, peaceful, and clear. A mind that has simply returned to its natural, calm state.
So let's do a super quick recap. First, please remember, your mind is designed to wander. It is not a defect. Second, the goal isn't to stop thoughts. It's to change your relationship with them. Don't fight, just allow. Third, use a simple anchor, like your body or your breath, to gently come back to the present moment. And finally, you cultivate peace by choosing not to water the weeds of worry and fear.
So we'll end with this question. This whole practice isn't about adding another stressful thing to your to-do list. It's about letting go. It's about uncovering a sense of freedom that is already inside you. So what would it feel like to put down that heavy bag of thinking, even for just a few moments? That's what this practice invites you to discover.